Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome into another episode of the Just Like Us Podcast, where we keep it real, keep it light, and sometimes just barely keep it together.
That's facts. Some days we're podcasting, some days we're parenting, and some days we're just praying that the dang Wi-Fi holds up.
Amen to that. But seriously, we are so glad you're here with us tonight. Whether you're watching live or catching the replay, thank you for showing up for yourself and for this community.
Absolutely. This isn't just a podcast. This is a movement. We're all about rebuilding, elevating, and telling the truth about what it really looks like to grow in business, in life, and in legacy.
And speaking of legacy, tonight's episode is a big one. But before we bring out our incredible guests, we just want to check in.
How's everyone doing out there? Let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from and what kind of a legacy you guys are trying to build.
That's right. Because listen, legacy isn't just about money or business. It's about healing, breaking cycles, and doing the hard stuff today so that the next generation doesn't have to.
Right. And, we like to have a little fun while we're doing it.
Yeah, because if you're going to build an empire, we might as well laugh through the blueprint, right?
Right. Okay, so, buckle up, you guys. Grab a notebook or at least your phone notes, because tonight we're talking legal game, business protection, and how to set yourself up to win.
Before we bring out our guest, let me just take a moment to introduce him properly. Gregory Swafford is the founder of Free Law School and a man on a mission to help entrepreneurs build legacy, not just income. With over 30 years of experience as a real estate attorney and entrepreneur, he's seen firsthand what happens when business owners aren't structured for the long haul. Gregory teaches people how to protect what they build using trust, holding companies, and smart legal strategy, so their legacy doesn't get lost in probate, lawsuits, or messy situations that could have been avoided with the right setup. He's not just dropping legal knowledge, he's making it accessible and reminding all of us that the work we do can serve generations to come. So help us welcome our guest, Gregory Swafford, to Just Like Us.
Ooh, let's go. Welcome in, Gregory. Welcome in. How you doing?
Yes,
Welcome in, brother.
welcome in. There he is.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Good evening. That's a lot of energy, guys. I got to live up there. You set the standard. The bar is set real high, but thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
And thank you for
absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
introduction, Letty. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We're excited, man. We're very excited to have you here with us.
We really are, Gregory. We are truly, you are actually truly building a legacy, not just an income. And tonight we get to lean in and learn from your wisdom. For everyone tuning in, here's what tonight is all about. What you're going to get out of tonight is clarity, protection, and powerful strategy. Gregory is here to help us understand why building legacy, not just income, should guide every entrepreneur's legal strategy, how trust and holding companies protect your business, your family, and your future, what happens when you don't structure your business the right way, and how to avoid that brick wall. Simple first steps you can take right now to protect what you're building.
Absolutely. So we know this sounds serious. Well, it's because really it is. And so, Gregory has a way of breaking it down so it's simple, doable, and empowering.
So let's jump in.
Okay, so absolutely. So we have a couple questions for you. Again, welcome into the show. We're extremely excited to have you here. This is the first lawyer that we've had on the podcast. So, let's just dive in.
But before we do, I'd like to give Gregory a chance to, just give a little backstory, like how we met.
Oh yeah.
What you're about. Let them see your personality a little bit, Gregory, before we just jump into the first question.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Do you want me to tell it, Gregory, or do you want to tell it?
Absolutely. I'd love to do that.
Okay.
I tell you, I practiced law this is my 33rd year. Okay. It blew by for me. Okay. And basically Free Law School was founded upon my years of experience of watching entrepreneurs skip the legal stuff for a variety of reasons. And that's where these conversations started out. Why do entrepreneurs skip the legal stuff? I've heard all kinds of things from, Obviously the cost associated with getting legal consultation. Some people don't like talking to lawyers. It's just it runs the gamut, right? They obviously never had a conversation with me, but hey, those are some of the reasons that people have. And a lot of times I've seen it become fatal to the business when it didn't have to be, right? Many entrepreneurs, many business owners, they don't know what they don't know until they find themselves in a situation. And it's not the time to structure up. You can't be proactive in a battle, right? You can't be proactive when you're in defense mode. So that's what Free Law School is all about helping entrepreneurs establish a solid legal foundation. Because look, you're not going to stop things from happening. They're going to happen. They're going to come your way. But if you have the proper legal foundation, you can hang around for the long haul. You can defend against those things. And structure is at the base of that. Right. Structure is everything. So that's what Free Law School is all about. And you're absolutely right. Making it accessible, making it understandable. I try not to speak legalese, right? So that's what we like at Free Law School. We like that. Let me say this, and I say this in Free Law School and all of my programs. Obviously, as a lawyer, I got to give you the disclaimer that whatever we talk about tonight, good folks, is for educational purposes only. It's not intended to create an attorney-client relationship, nor does it create an attorney-client relationship. And with that, I'm going to give it to you.
Let's go.
All right, let's now we can really dive in. So the first question we want to ask you is, you've seen what happens when business owners aren't set up for the long haul. What's the biggest avoidable mistake that puts their legacy at risk?
Boom, great question.
That is a great question. Letty, I gotta say structure, and here's how that plays out. I see it all the time, right? Even today on social media, because there is so much information on social media.
Right.
Some good, some not so good, right? Understanding the why. Case in point, okay? Everybody knows, everybody who aspires to own their own business, whether they're a side hustler, a gig worker, straight up entrepreneur, whatever, they understand that in order to go into business, you have to have either an LLC or a corporation and an EIN number, right? But that's where most of our understanding stops. I've seen entrepreneurs and we think that merely because we have that LLC and an EIN number that we're good to go, that nothing bad can happen. Okay. It's only the beginning. And along with that LLC and EIN protection comes responsibility. Look, you need to understand, LLC stands for limited liability company. Here's what limited liability stands for. It means that in the event that there is a claim that proceeds to a judgment, lawsuit, basically, right? It proceeds to a judgment against your company, that your personal assets, whatever you have managed to acquire in your personal life, those things are not going to be at risk. Okay. So what it means in plain English is that the things that we've hustled for on the side doesn't get dragged into our business in the event the business goes sideways. Okay. But now here comes that responsibility part. And the part to answer the question specifically about what I've seen entrepreneurs do that causes some of the most problems for them, that is lose the limited liability protection by mixing personal expenses and business expenses. It's called commingling. And here's how it happens. We make some money in our business and we say it's our money, so we can spend it like we want. and you find yourself, paying for groceries at the grocery store with the business card, or you're celebrating your birthday, or you're celebrating a contract, a win. And so you're out and you pop some bottles on the business card with all the intention of fixing it on Monday and separating it out, but it doesn't. And it kind of has the effect of getting away from you. Okay? And then when you find yourself involved in litigation, it's like think of it like this. It's like being audited at the courthouse, because when the judgment comes down, and if the company is not able to pay that judgment readily, then the court and the party that secured the judgment against the company, they're going to be looking under the sofa cushion, under the rocks, the seats in the car, everywhere, looking for the money.
Right. Yeah.
They do that. There's a process to that. That's when those books are going to be audited. We're going to see how you structured, whether or not you commingled, whether or not your assets are protected. That's when the structure and the foundation is going to really come into play. And it's going to either save you or you're going to fall to it.
Right. Okay. Great answer. And if you don't mind, I would love to ask you a question myself. You mind if I ask you one? I've got one for you. So if someone listening today wants to protect their business, their family, where should they start and how soon?
Great question.
You should start. That's a great question, Jus, because I've seen and heard many things. People say, "Oh, well, I'm just starting out. I'm not making any money. So why should I incur the expense of putting together a foundation or even give a whole lot of thought to a foundation? Let me build this business. Let me flip something. Let me make something happen first, and then I'll circle back and do it." That's a real mistake. That is a real mistake. Your foundation should be put in place from the beginning.
Okay.
Before the money shows up.
Right.
And especially before the risk shows up.
Okay.
Because the minute you begin to do business, there is the potential for risk. Okay. It's on the scene. Risk is on the scene. So your structure needs to be in place from the beginning.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Good. Great answer. Thank you for that too.
And then we do have a third question for you. So how can trusts and holding companies work together to safeguard what we build from lawsuits and probate?
That's a part of the structure from the beginning. Okay. We talk about this all the time. The biggest mistake, besides commingling, right? Biggest mistake that entrepreneurs make is that they run out and they form the LLC first. When you form the LLC first, and let me back up for a second and say, this conversation regarding business form, what we're talking about structure, it applies to both the corporation and the LLC. There's a lot of chatter out there on social media and online about which is the best form to adopt. Okay. Right. They both provide limited liability protection. The corporation is more formal and more strict than the LLC, right? Okay. So if you operate in willy-nilly mode, you want to think about whether or not you want to live up to those strict requirements for the corporation. The LLC is far less formal. What I mean by that, you don't have to keep minutes for the LLC. You don't have to have meetings. You don't have to do any of those things. Whereas with the corporation, you need resolutions to act. You need bylaws. You have to issue certificates of stock to show the ownership. There are far more requirements. Now, it gets tested when there is that judgment or litigation that I talked about, the audit at the courthouse. That's when they want to see the bylaws. They want to see the resolutions, whatever it was that you acted to do, all of those things. So to think that, well, they have these requirements, but maybe I'll never be asked for them. You won't be asked for them until there's a problem.
Right.
So to further answer your question about trust and holding companies, we run out and we form the LLC. But when in fact the trust and the holding company should be filed first. It is a layering strategy. Okay, you layer the protection. The LLC gives you that protection if you don't commingle from a personal standpoint. And many business owners only understand the potential for liability from the inside liability. And here's what I mean by inside liability. Inside liability occurs when something happens in the business. Your driver was out making deliveries and runs into someone. Okay, that's an accident inside the company. He was in the company vehicle. He was on company time, right? If that proceeds to judgment, then that's going to be inside liability. You're going to either pay that judgment, or you're going to be tested for them to determine whether or not there's personal liability. If there is no personal liability there, then we go into the structural part of the analysis. If that vehicle or assets are titled in the name of the company, then those things can be seized. Okay, they can be seized and sold. That's why we talk about asset protection and asset protection being important. It's also why we talk about layered strategy, because that holding company that's in the middle, the trust is at the top, the holding company in the middle, and then the operating company, which is the company that goes out and does the business on a daily basis. Okay, so here's what that looks like. Inside liability is what I just explained to you. Then there's this thing called outside liability. Outside liability is going to occur when things happen in your personal life. Okay. So it becomes an issue. It becomes an issue for structure if your name is on the LLC. And most business owners who started the LLC first did not layer their structure. Their names are on the LLC. So they believe that they have this protection, right? This is false illusion, right? That we're protected, but you're really not protected if your name is on the LLC. So when we talk about outside liability, imagine this for a minute. You were involved in a divorce, or maybe child support, or maybe you ran into the side of someone in your personal vehicle. You weren't doing business. It wasn't anything like that. So there's this judgment against you in your personal life. That judgment in your personal life can be tied to your business when it comes down to collecting for that judgment. They can come in and raid the business. So you might ask, well, how could that be? How can they raid the business? Well, they will be able to raid the business if your name is on the business. Now, I'm going to show you where your name is on the business. Your name is on the EIN.
Oh,
you formed it. You're the responsible party.
Okay.
You're a sole member, more than likely, on the EIN.
Oh, wow.
You established the bank accounts. You signed the contracts. So it's not difficult for for the attorney on the other side to demonstrate that you are actually the business.
Right.
There is no separation between you and the business.
Right. Okay. So how does one go about separating that completely? And you don't have to get too in detail, but give us a quick brief how one could go about doing that without having to go through, well, just basically, how can one avoid, being sued if something happened personally?
We do that by structure, by not having your name on the business. So you say, well, how can I start a business and not have my name on the business? The way that it's done is we form a revocable living trust first and foremost, okay? And then your trust is the only thing with your name on it. And the reason that your trust has your name on it is because the trust is tied to an individual, to the individual person. Remember, the revocable living trust can be amended, changed, revoked, anything, as long as you're alive. So it must be tied to the individual, okay? But after that, and you're not the owner of the trust. So there we go. That's the beginning part of not putting your name on anything. You're not the owner of the trust. You're only going to be the trustee of the trust. Sure, you're the grantor. You started, you formed the trust, but you don't own it.
Okay.
So your name is not there as owner. Now we move to the next layer. After we establish the trust, instead of starting the LLC first in our own name, we're going to form our holding company. And the holding company is going to be owned by the trust.
Right.
Trust is the responsible party for the holding company.
Yeah.
But there again, we
escape
putting your name on it. And you're not the owner of the holding company. You're simply the manager of the holding company.
Right.
Now we go and we finish it off. We round it out with the operating company, the company that faces the street, that does business with the clients every day. That company is owned by the holding company. So your name is not on the operating company either, right?
Layered up. Yeah. Okay.
So now your name is on nothing. You've heard it, own nothing, control everything.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
So your name is on nothing, right?
Right. Okay.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Here's how the control comes into play. Because you are the trustee of the trust, and the trust owns the holding company, you therefore control the holding company.
Game.
You see that?
Game.
And because the holding company owns the operating company, and you as the trustee control the holding company, you not only control the holding company, you control the operating company. So you control everything, and your name is on nothing.
That's what they mean. Okay, cool. I'm glad you explained that. I'm gonna go to the chat real quick. Shout out to one of my longest friends, Michael Cortez, is in the building. He says facts. Dwania Baldwin, my sister, says right LLC less formal. And so she also said right, keep a separate business name. This is good. Layer it up. So shout out to everybody who's joining us. Thank you guys for coming into the comments. Master P, I had a sit down dinner with him about a month and a half, 2 months ago. Little Justin and I. And you know who Master P is?
Yes,
Gregory?
absolutely.
Okay, so Master P, we went out and had dinner with him out in Ontario, California. And I asked him, I said, if you could start over and had nothing, what is something that you would do to rebuild your empire? He said he would get into insurance. That was the first thing came out of his mouth sitting at the dinner table to me. He specifically said, I would get into insurance. He said, because everybody needs insurance. And if you think about it, it's like you're legally bound to have insurance nowadays here in America, right? I mean, it's just something that most people have in one way or another. Letty and I, we've broken some things here, and we need insurance. So the first thing he told me was, you need to get some insurance. And if you can be somebody who actually sells insurance or a salesman for insurance, then if you can own these companies that sell insurance, you're going to be on top of the game. So, and what you're kind of diving into here is, being able to be a person who you want to be on top of your game, because what you're teaching is something that the information's out there. Let's just be honest. But the stuff that you're saying, it seems like it's some real inside stuff that you either know or you don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you've done a lot of studies. I'm sure you've done 30 years of this, where you're at as a lawyer.
33.
So you've had 33 years as a lawyer. You have had your ups and downs, but you've learned what it is exactly that you're teaching us right now. So I'm excited to hear about this stuff.
Yeah. And someone else asked, Richard asked, can you restructure if you already have an LLC?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't start from scratch. Okay. You don't have to start from scratch. It's better if you do it off top, but if you already formed the LLC, basically what happens is you go and we form those other entities, and then we reassign the LLC to the holding company and to the trust. Okay. We'll go to the IRS.gov and get new EIN numbers or new responsible parties for those EIN numbers to insulate from the tax standpoint, but it can be redone. Yeah, we can restructure. We can restructure.
And then is it the same, Gregory, if you're doing business online? Because most of us are doing business online, right, in the digital market versus a storefront. Is the structure the same, or is it different for that?
The structure is the same. I mean, there's only one LLC and one corporation, right? And the thing about it, I say this to people all the time, that what we're talking about is not particular to any industry. This works for the flippers. This works for the Airbnbs, e-commerce, Shopify stores, real estate brokers, transportation companies. It's all the same. These principles and understanding the why will work for you no matter what industry you're in. But I want to touch on something that Justin brought up about Master P and the insurance and how the insurance ties into law. Insurance is very important. It's a very important component. And what the insurance does for you, the insurance provides you with a defense.
Defense, okay.
That's what it does. It provides you with a defense. Think about your automobile insurance. You think about, your hazardous insurance on your home. They're going to come in, they're going to fix your home, right? But think about your auto policy or if you're a professional, your liability insurance coverage, right? When something happens, when someone makes a claim against you, they're going to handle that claim for you. You can go to sleep, right? You don't have to run over to my office and say, hey, look, I need a lawyer, right? If the coverage is sufficient, they're going to see that through for you. That's what insurance does for you. And it's a very important component when you're going into business. A lot of us, we skip the insurance, but we should reconsider that.
Okay. So this is the insurance. This is a great plan to have, an idea for future. But I do want to talk a little bit about personal stuff. We know that you've been in the business for 33 years, but let's talk on more of a personal level. As we spoke, I met you for the first time today, and Letty knows you. Letty's known you for some time, and I got to meet you today, and the energy was great, man. And let me just say, personally, I feel like you're a very humble person.
Yes.
You have a lot of knowledge and a lot of things to give and to be able to pour into people. So I just want to kind of touch on, being able to have you on the show here, and the energy that I find with you is it seems like you're a phenomenal person. And again, you've got a brain full of information that many of us, there's just so many things inside that brain, I'm sure, after 33 years of learning and incorporating into your life, but I'm just really excited to have you here, because the stuff that you're speaking about, again, is there's people that you probably had to go to school for several years to gain this knowledge. But I find that, someone with your caliber, like you're a very humble person, you know what I mean? So where are you from originally?
New Orleans.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. Okay, let's go. And so originally you met Letty through we're all alumni for the Spectacular School of Business. You know what I mean? So, and there's a lot to be said about the Academy, because we've met some phenomenal people, some of our closest people in the world. So shout out to Spec, shout out to Jamie, the family over there, Spectacular School of Business. Thank you guys for everything. We have met some phenomenal people and learned so much stuff on the way here. They say you want to learn how to build the plane on the way going down, right? And that's kind of what we're doing here. Is we're building and structuring our business and our lives from what we've learned. You know what I mean? And so having you on the show, I believe that we've had 50% of our guests have been alumni for the Spectacular School of Business. And I want to say shout out to all the people who's been here. Right. You know what I mean? And again, it just goes to show that the power of community can really be monumental. So again, having that structure of people that we've met, thank you for everybody who's been a part of this. But you are a fantastic person, and I just want to say that the energy that we had earlier, it was just you're just good people, man. I'm glad that lady decided to have you on as a guest. You know what I mean? So
right. But I mean, after we did the social media income challenge, and then we, would meet up in weekly in the Spectacular School of Business, like I still kept following you, right? I mean, I connected with you in there, and I was like, man, this guy's got something, like, I want to learn. I want to see what it is he's talking about. So I started following you on Instagram, which you can click over here. Hopefully I'm up in the upper.
Oh, it's over actually next to him, and right above.
Anyways,
right above Gregory.
Right above his. You can click. You can scan that QR code and find out more of what he's all about and what he teaches, because he breaks it down in simple terms that we, regular folks can understand, right? It's not a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. Like, I actually go, oh, wow, okay, I didn't think about that. And then I come to Justin and say, you know what? This is what Gregory was talking about today on Instagram. Like, and then we conversate about it.
Yeah.
Right. And then we get to build our foundation layer by layer, brick by brick, right? Take some out, put some back in. And so, you have a lot of wisdom, you have a lot of years of experience, you know what you're talking about. And so, I'm so grateful and thankful that you said yes and came on the show, and, just came on here and conversated with us. And even the conversation that we had on the phone today, you're just super laid back, easy to talk to, and know what you're talking about. So, definitely appreciate that. And if there's anything else that you would like our audience or your audience to know, feel free.
Floor's open. Yeah.
I'm honored. I'm honored. Those are all very, very kind words. My thing is this, I've just always wanted to pass that information along, right? To give it to people. I remember I was impressed by what Specs said, and his mantra on wanting to create 1 million millionaires. Right. And at first I thought, I was like, wow, that's a bit much, right? Yeah. But it's really not, right? It's really not, because of the way that we do it. It can be done in so many different ways. By giving that by spreading that information. And you guys take that information. If you have the level of understanding, if we're breaking it down and you understand it like what you've just communicated it to me, then you can pass that along. You and Justin, and you guys, that's the point. For me, that's what free law school is about. I don't suppose that I'm going to see 1 million people, but I can still have that same kind of effect by breaking it down and giving it to people such that it can be passed on. Look, here's the law business. The law business. I mean, it's a business model, and the business model is this. We benefit and we look for repeat customers, right? That's why we call clients retainers. The whole retainer model is built on, repeat customers, right? And that's okay, because you're never going to get away from the need to have someone show up at that audit at the courthouse, right? And speak on your behalf. But you can certainly learn to create your own foundation. And what's it going to do? It's going to protect you. It's going to make you a more attractive potential client, because guess what? Lawyers are people too. We don't want duds. We know that when you come in looking for representation, some of you guys are at your lowest, right? You're at your lowest. You got the stuff weighing on you, and you want to walk out of that office having shouldered that onto the lawyer. So
Right.
the lawyer is looking at you, he's gauging you, he's looking at that folder you got in your hand, or the fact that you walk in there and you have no folder. Right.
Yeah.
All that weighs in on whether or not he wants to help you, because it's not just about money. Right. So you become a more attractive client when you have a proper foundation, one, and you're a more informed client. Right. Nobody can just tell you anything. Right. Oh, well, we can't. It's going to be tough. You already know what you have. You've been educated and empowered. And that's the mission of Free Law School, to empower, pass that information along.
That's amazing. I love that, because I've been to prison. I've been to jail several times. And believe you me, I've had my fair share of lawyers, public defenders, and, having this information. Of course, we have ChatGPT, we've got the information at our fingertips. So, when I was growing up, we didn't have that stuff. But, what a great, this would be fantastic to have somebody like you. So what are some ways that people can get into what you are offering? Because you say free, is it free lawyers?
Free law
school, right? So what are some ways people can get it? Because I hear free, I'm like, okay, it's either going to be something that's spammed out, or can really be something that can benefit a lot of people.
Right? Now here, I'm glad you bring that up. I'm glad you bring that up, because the thing about it is that when we're naming our businesses, there's this thing, you come up with the mantra, and it should be like 3 words, right? It's like Nike says, just do it, right? So I said, I want to teach people, so Free Law School. But here's what the free is. The free is the freedom and the empowerment that it gives. That's what it is. It's about freedom, right? And it's very, there are no retainers. It's far more affordable than any retainer or consultation. And the way that it works is that I actually teach you how to do things for yourself. When you walk away, you get step by step. You get membership and invited into the Discord. We do weekly Q&As, right? We got all kinds of FAQs and videos in the Discord. So you're never there by yourself, right? You got help. So we walk you through, and you actually put your own business structure in place. So that's why I feel so confident about saying that you can go and you'll teach somebody. We'll touch those 1 million people over time, right?
Yeah. Right. Learn, do, and teach, right?
That's
you learn yourself, you go and do it, and then you can teach it, correct?
That's it.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
it.
Let's go. And again, another thing that we've learned as a unit together, that's a great way to look at it. It's a great mantra to have, because you want to be able to learn something. But being a coach is like, if you're good at something, you can teach people. So you can coach people, right? You can show people, hey, I learned how to, whatever it is that you do best, and then coach people. And so I think a lot of us, at least me and Letty, I think even yourself, have come into the coaching space because we see the value of being able to learn something, then go do it, and then being able to teach or coach people how to do it. So learn to teach is a great thing that we learned from Desmond Soom. Was one of the first people I ever heard that from. So and here we are. We've known each other in a short period of time, but me and Letty have been growing so much because we're learning stuff, and as we're learning it, we're able to go do it, and then now we're able to start teaching. People are saying, hey, we see what you're doing in this podcast. We see what you guys are doing here and there. And so it really shows that being consistent with whatever we're doing, it is so valuable, because again, there's so many times where I've tried stuff and then I didn't see it working and I dropped off, but I didn't get any progress or any momentum because I just let it go. So instead, now me and Letty we've been going strong with our podcast, and I think that people it's starting to catch real momentum, you guys. And shout out to David Watts in the building, man. Check this out. David Watts, big time. I love him. If you guys can see him in the chat there, he said this is great information. We had our very first airing on Stage Plus, you guys. On Stage Plus. Check this platform out. This is fantastic. It's On Stage Plus, just how it sounds. And there's an app, and it's online. There are several channels. It's television. This is a huge television network. And again, David Watts, oh my God, amazing man. Shout out to David. But we're saying this because the people who we have around us, it matters so much. And now we have Gregory in our corner that we can bounce things off of, family, so to speak. charismatic, and you don't have to be related to be family, correct? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely. No,
and you don't have to know somebody for an extended period of time to be family.
Right.
Because again, shout out to one of my closest friends in the universe, Renee Marjorie. We've been around each other for 8-9 months, and I'm telling you, we've got so close. You just know the people that you want around you to keep around you. So you get those people around you, keep them around you. And Gregory, you're one of those people.
Yes.
So is David. So is Dewanya and Richard. So many people. But it just feels good to have people like you with the knowledge, but the heart. Just the heart that I see with you.
Yeah.
You're charismatic, but you're also somebody you seem like a very loyal person. Somebody who has the energy and the love. So we love having people like yourself around, and we're just glad that we have you around us as well. So, is there anything, Gregory, that you would like to ask us or ask the people out there? Because I mean, we have people in the chat. Is there anything that you want to let people know? You know what I mean, or you want to ask anyone? Now's the time.
I don't have any ask. If you have the time and you want to pull anything specific out the chat, I'll be glad
to got any questions?
Right.
Let's go ahead and see if we go to the questions and ask anybody out there. So we have a lawyer in the building, not just a lawyer, but so you specify in what would you title it? Your lawyer. What you do? You are a lawyer in
business structuring and asset protection.
Let's go. Okay, guys, you heard that. So business structuring, asset protection. If you guys in the chat have any questions for Gregory, now's the time. And if somebody does want to chime in, please feel free.
And I wanted to say, just the conversation that we had before we, came on the podcast tonight was so insightful, right? I mean, it started sparking things inside of me. Just a quick, overview of what it is you do and reconnecting again. It's been a while. Like I said, I've been following you, but you're such a wealth of information. And I love the part that, you get to like advocate for yourself. Like that's what you're teaching us, right? To advocate for yourself. And I love that on your Instagram page. And that's where mainly I follow you, but I know you have other platforms. But, I follow you on there, and just the structure, the talks that you give are, like I said, I come back and talk to Justin about it or look stuff up and go like, I wonder, if I could do that myself. And so it's got my wheels kind of spinning. And I know that you offer like a discovery call, right?
Absolutely.
I've seen that on your, if you scan the QR code over here, you can, book a discovery call with Gregory and find out all the information you want to know. If you already have a business, you want to start a business, or you want to restructure the one that you have, and get the information that you need to move forward to protect your legacy and protect yourself, your family, your business, right? So I just want to thank you so much.
Absolutely. Look, if you're hopefully you guys have been out there operating and you have not encountered any of these situations or scenarios that I described, then let this be an awareness call, right? Let this be an awareness call that you need to take a look. You need to audit your business, right? Look at it. And it's not complicated. If you're structured, just listening to this conversation, if your name is on your business, right?
Right.
You don't have to hire somebody to tell you that. How you set it up. Whether or not you structured it. And if you didn't, but you don't find yourself in a legal situation right now, well, it's the perfect time to structure up. Doesn't matter if you did it wrong in the beginning, you can fix it as long as there's no liability there. And let me tell you something. The thing about structuring up in the beginning, why it's so important, Justin asked that question earlier about structuring up in the beginning, is because I've had many clients, acquaintances, friends, whatever, who find themselves in situations over the years. And once those things happen, the first inclination is, man, I need to go and move some stuff. I need to go and you can't do that. Right? That's going to be undone. You're going to be stopped. That's a brick wall move if there ever was one, right? Because the courts are going to say that those transfers, whatever it is you're trying to pull off, is a fraudulent transfer. It was done to defraud the creditor, whether it's the judgment creditor or whoever. So you can you can make the biggest mistake in the world. As long as you're structured up front, it's not going to cost you. You're just going to go Monday morning and start a new LLC. That's the worst thing that could happen to you. If you're structured right and your foundation is right, you just got to come up with another name for a business and start a new business. That's it.
Amazing. Love this info. This is fantastic information.
Really good.
So again, so you have a website, I take it, right?
Absolutely. Well, I'm the best way to get in touch with me. If you see, that you see yourself in any of the scenarios that we talked about here tonight, or would like to get more information, the best way to reach me, I'm Free Law School on Instagram. You can at Free Law School, send me a DM there. I'm Free Law School on TikTok. You can send me a DM. I respond to them personally. Won't take me long. So please feel free to reach out if you just want to talk, if you want to have that clarity call. We can get together and talk.
Scan that QR code. I can't see. Can you see if it's being blocked by any of the words over there, babe? Do you know? Because on our screen it shows like it might be. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to move it over
here to
our
side.
Yeah.
So you guys scan this QR code.
There it is.
Just to the left, right here above me. Scan this QR code. What we do here is we love to be able to promote whatever it is that our guests have going on, because again, they're not on here for no reason. We're not just inviting anybody. We want people to add value, that are doing things with the community and for themselves. So we want to see people growing, so we can not only lift them up, but they can pull us up with them as so can we. Yeah. So if you guys get a moment, go ahead and check this out. It's free law school. Okay. This is the free law school. So this means that there's a lot of information that you'll be able to gain. And is there a community there that people can kind of pour into, or how does that work?
Discord.
Absolutely. There's a Discord, and my website is freelawschool.blog, blog.blog, and you can go there and subscribe to the newsletter. We send out information via newsletter, via emails all the time. Business trends, those kind of things as it relates to structure and asset protection.
And also you guys can follow him on Instagram at instagram.com. And it is, I believe free FREELAWSCHOOL. So Free Law School. So Instagram.com/Free Law School, and get the guidance you guys need to set up your business for the long haul, right? Because that's what this is about, is we want to be able to set people up.
I wanted to say, I found this very valuable, because business, you got to structure your life too, right? At the same time, you got to have a good, solid foundation. If you're missing anything or omit anything, it could all just come crashing down.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, and I love that you are concerned about both, right? Not just business, but you love the person too. And that's important to somebody like me. Right.
Absolutely.
So I 1,000% appreciate you. I'm so glad that you came on here tonight.
Thank you for having me. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. And if this brought you guys value, be sure that you share it with someone you care about. And again, this is only barely the surface. And so a way to get more information about this, I mean, let's be real. There's information out there, but you're going to have to go look for it. You're going to have to go find it. This man knows what he's talking about, and he has a really good idea, and more than idea, a knowledge of what's to come if you do certain things in your business, LLC, corporation, whatever it may be. You want somebody like him on your side, or at least in your circle. And we're very pleased to have him in our circle, not because of the legal, but just because of his energy, just because of how he is. And we're glad to have made a new family member here for the Just Like Us podcast. And we're going to definitely have to have you back at some point, because again, an hour just doesn't seem like it's enough time to be able to cover some of this information, right?
Yeah.
So and so we want you guys to join us every Wednesday and Friday evening right here on the Just Like Us podcast until the
July 24th, when we're going to go once a week, every Thursday at 7 p.m. PST.
Yes. And so before we do end up closing out, I just want to say thank you to Gregory for coming on here. Is there anything else that you'd like to mention to other people? Anything else that you want to promote or let people know that you have going on? If not, that's fine. But is there anything you want to let people know?
No, just I'm fine. Just I want everybody to protect themselves. I'll end with that.
And you can see it. You can see that you have that you have a good heart. You know, you can feel it. Like, you know what I mean? Just how you ended it was just like, I just want people to be protected, because I'm sure you've seen in your life people that have gone unprotected and got, let's say, screwed. Got, you know, that's gotten, you know, messed up in the system. So we definitely don't want that. Okay. So, you know, you guys, thank you again, Gregory, for joining us here on the Just Like Us podcast, where we talk about real life, real business, and real ways to build a future that lasts.
That's right.
So again, make sure that you guys, if you're not following, please follow. Make sure that you like. Sharing is a big deal right now on the algorithm. Help us, you know, get our algorithm built. And you know, also I want to say, for our podcast that we had with Desmond Soon, we are making a lot of progress in the AI Genie. And if you guys haven't already got into the AI Genie, let me put the link up so that you guys can get in here on the AI Genie. Hey, Gregory, are you familiar with Desmond Soon?
I am. I'm familiar with Desmond. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, he was a guest of ours. I want to say 3 episodes ago, he came on here, and what happened was he said, for the people who end up coming into our BSA, which stands for Biz Success Academy community, for people who come join on the BSA side and get into the AI Genie, is we're hosting a workshop coming up this Saturday. And Desmond Soon says anybody who signs up for this, he's going to personally take the time out of his day and have a course that, well, not a course, but a Zoom class that we have all together. So if you guys sign up for the BSA and the AI Genie, you guys are going to get some real mentorship from the one and only Desmond Soon, who is huge on income producing activities. And we all know him because of the Spectacular School of Business. So we all know all too well that he is a wealth of knowledge as well, especially for income producing activities, a monster when it comes to income producing activities. So if you guys sign up and you get into the community for Biz Success Academy, which Lady and I are both admin in, you guys get this extra access to Desmond Soon himself, which I'm telling you guys do not want to miss out. The AI Genie is coming up, and let me just go ahead and put this up on the screen. There it is right here. I'll say, okay. So you guys scan this code right here. And again, if you scan this code, you get into the workshop that we have coming up this Saturday. Saturday, this is a one-time thing. Then you're going to get this special class with Desmond Soon. So I highly suggest, if you guys would like to get some income-producing activities from the one and only Desmond Soon, who has made some impacts he's worked with Dan Locke. He's worked with who's he worked with? He's worked with many other people. Robert Kiyosaki and several other many multimillionaires, people that know what they're talking about. Get into our workshop this Saturday, the AI Genie workshop for Biz Success Academy. You guys don't want to miss this. I'm serious. We are going to show you how to utilize AI in the most profound ways, because we done broke the system. Whatever it is that we're doing, trust me, we done tried it out, broke it, and remade it and done it to its best value. And so make sure you guys show up for this. Scan the QR code. And if you guys want to take a screenshot, you can go to your photos and hold it down. That'll take you straight to this website and to be able to join the Biz Success Academy. So enough of that. We want to say thank you to everybody who came inside the chat and joined with us. And for anybody who's watching after the fact, be sure to please share it, like, follow, all of those great things, because it does help the algorithm, and we're building, so we can use your guys' help. So thank you again to Gregory for being a wonderful guest tonight on the Just Like Us podcast. We love you, brother. Extremely glad that I met you, and we're happy to have you in our family. So we're definitely going to have you on at some point here in the near future. So you guys stay tuned for that. Lady, you got anything to close out with?
That's it. I think you've said it all.
All right. I do that sometimes. Again, thank you, Gregory, for being here on the Just Like Us podcast, brother. You guys have a great and wonderful evening. Thanks again, Gregory. Thanks to everybody out there.
So much.
Stay tuned, you guys, and we'll see you guys on